How's everybody doing today? You sure? So all day long, you've been listening to communication. And yet, communication can be kind of difficult. Do you agree? Oh, yeah, because we have lots of different factors that impact our communication. You had that adorable little girl that played music that caught your connection that way. You had fabulous people singing that connect your communication. You had people using words, which are really utterances that give us insight into a symbol of something so we can connect. But I'm going to tell you, communication is not that easy. And in order for us to really be successful in our relationships, in our careers, just in life, we got to be good communicators. So one of the things that I learned is that not only do we have behavioral differences, people like me are high response, and then you've got people that are low response. You ever know anybody like that? You know, you go to a party and one of your friends is kind of quiet, and you say to them, "Hey, are you having a good time?" And they're like, "Yes." And you're like, "Well, you might want to notify your face because we can't tell." And then you've got the problem with men and women. Women, we think differently. Did you know that? We have a fully circuited 24-hour motherboard in there that moves and remembers everything. Our guys, we've got to be a little easy on them. They have little boxes. They have a box for sports. They have a box for food. They have a box for study. They have lots of boxes, and none of them are connected. So when we interrupt them, they have to come out of that box and go, "What?" And then we go, "Well, what do you want for dinner?" And they're like, "I don't care." And then they go back in their box. And then we come back and you go, "Hi, hon, would you like some chicken?" And he goes, "Out of my box. I don't care." Goes back in his box. Here's the difference, ladies. They have a nothing box. We can't get into that nothing box. And we want to do things like decorate it and put in potpourri and find out what they're thinking, because we'll say, "Honey, what are you thinking?" And he'll say, and you go, "That's impossible," right? So I understand that just because your lips are moving doesn't mean that people understand you. Here's the case in point. My current husband hates to go to the grocery store. You can laugh, he's current. If he doesn't do a good job, he's out. Some of us are slow learners, okay? So he says to me, "I'm going to play poker with my buddies, and they love your meatballs," which is cue for, "Would you cook for us?" Well, the truth is, it's so much fun because there are these people that come over, they're big corporate types, and then they sit down, they went to second grade together, and now they make fun of each other, they call each other nicknames. It's kind of like being in the men's room without the other stuff. And so I said, here's the deal, buddy. If you want meatballs, I have this much of a window to make them, and you have to go to the grocery store. This is a man who would prefer to have a root canal without Novocaine, okay? Because he hates grocery stores. And I said, here's what you have to buy. You have to buy flat leaf Italian parsley. How many people know what that is? It's more flavorful than the other stuff that you throw away on your plate when you get that little dinner thing. So I said, don't come back with curly parsley. Do not come back with cilantro. Forget about it. If you don't come home with the parsley, no meatballs. If you don't know what that means, use your imagination. Okay. So he says, I said, I'm going to be out of town. You have to have it. I'll make it when I get home. I have this 1 hour to do it. I whip open the refrigerator. He's, of course, sworn to me that he bought the parsley. I open the door. I can't find it. Come on, it's green. It's in a little plastic bag, right? Where's the parsley? And then I noticed something kind of weird. I noticed that the milk was on its side, lying weird. I'm like, what's that about? And then I saw this little teensy piece of green hanging out from under that milk carton. I'm like, what happened here? I called him, I said, Don, why did you put the milk carton on the parsley? And he says, wait for it, I didn't want it to get curly while you were gone. You cannot make this up, okay? So is communication challenging? Say yes. Because we think we connect, and sometimes we don't. And what we're going to learn today is ways to engage so that the people that are in front of us, the people that get our communication, have a real, authentic, and transparent connection. So how does this affect our relationships? If you have different core values, different preferences, if you use different words. I moved from Chicago to Memphis, Tennessee, where I fit right in. The first time I was there, one of his friends asked me how I was, and I said, well, I'm fine. How are you? And he said, why do you talk like that? I said, excuse me? He said, why do you talk like that? He said, you're in the South. You got to open your mouth and say hi. And I realized we talk like that. You go to Jersey, they're like, how you doing? Go to Chicago, it's how you doing. I mean, it's just how people connect. And where we want to be is where they want to be to connect. So the problem that we have in today's society is that we have so much information, so much distraction, that I'm not so sure we're doing a very good job of connecting and engaging. We can connect all day long, but that doesn't mean we get engagement, because that's the gift. We have social media, we have pings and dings and zings and all this stuff. Too much information is what hampers our engagement, and you've learned how to filter that better than me. But at the end of the day, when you filter, what does that mean? What are we leaving out? It could be the most amazing experience. And so when I first came out here, you started writing a story about who you thought I was. But just based on how I'm dressed and the tone of my voice, my attitude, it took you 7 seconds in the neurochemistry of your brain to make that decision. Was it safe or wasn't it safe? And every time you make that decision, you write a story that may or may not be accurate, because it's based on your experience. But every time you get interrupted by a notification on your phone or a notification on your watch, the neurochemistry of your brain, according to a wonderful study done in Irvine, California, says that it will take 23 minutes and 15 seconds for this 40,000-year-old brain, which is analog, to compete with digital technology. So think about how many times you get distracted during a day. That's a lot of productivity. And more importantly, it's a lot of impact on people that we're with. So we are literally tied to technology. Do you know that every single time you get validation from a notification or a ping or a zing or a Snapchat, that a little tiny drop of dopamine hits your system? The same thing, the same reaction from cocaine. So some people would rather lose their children than lose their phone. I'm just kidding. Of course they want you. We don't need any therapy here. So it also fractures our influence. If you're in front of me and I am rubbernecking, or I'm constantly checking my phone, or the phone rings, essentially what I'm saying is, excuse me, you're not so important. I'm getting an update on my Pinterest. That breaks your influence. Not influence over, but influence with. If you really want to be irresistible, if you really want to be so attractive, if you're interested in truly connecting with the human in front of you, influence is one of your goals, because it creates an experience of being with you. And so if you've ever been with somebody who makes you feel just so important, I mean, I remember this when the president of a university was there for graduation, and he was flowing down in his robes, And he stopped, and he said, "Terri," and I went, to see if there was another person behind me. And I went, "Oh, yeah, hi." And he just looked straight at me. And there's people and paparazzi and everything all over the place, 1,700 people graduating, and he said, "How are you?" I felt like checking all over and going, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Don't you think you ought to have something else to do?" He made me feel so important in that moment that it was a heightened moment. It's called the power of moments, when the brain takes an experience, an elevated moment, and it locks it in your memory as being a good memory. So how do people experience you? Well, here's one. Would you rather have a real hug or one of those? I don't know about you, but if it was a friendly bear, I think I'd go for the bear. So here's our challenge. Automation is the most wonderful, amazing miracle in our communication. We get to speak to anyone all over the world in an instant, at any time. But don't abdicate when you have a real human in front of you with digiphrenia, which is that constant back and forth. Digi being digital, phrenia being fractured attention, written by Douglas Rushkoff. Don't abdicate that opportunity, because really, you've got to rock what you've got. Why do people hide behind technology? Because you don't get to see where I'm not perfect. Guess what? You're all perfectly imperfect. Every single one of us has something that we don't think you might not like. But so what? I call it be you beautiful. Beautiful. So I used to date this molecular geneticist. Really brilliant guy. He could do fractions and everything. And he used to do speeches, and he would shake somebody's hand and say, "If I don't wash my hands, I can go and make another one of you." Now, how creepy is that? Okay, we had to break up with him after that. But my point is, could there, well, he got away, seriously. Seriously, though, could there be another you? Say no. Why not? You're so unique. You're the only piece of that puzzle, because of the time and the vortex and the moment that you were born, can never be reproduced, ever, in the evolution of man. We know that for a fact. So here's what I think. I think we ought to stop hiding behind technology. I think we ought to take advantage of the love that is in front of us, whether it's a cranky pants, which is an opportunity, or somebody who's just as afraid of you as you are to see the real them. So I say, if they don't like you, next. There's a couple more billion people on the world, right? Get over it. Forget about it. Next. Jim Rohn is one of my mentors. He's also old and gone. If I could give you the best advice to create the most enviable life that you want, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. When you become the best version of you, you are totally irresistible. People know it's a safe place. They know that there's no judgment. This is what you get. You don't like Italian? Next. And here's why I know this. I'm one of 9 kids. I was happy to have the one bathroom we had. My dad worked hard, but he wasn't especially happy having a girl first. I did the best I could. And one night when I was there at the farm, I went to kiss him goodnight, and he didn't offer the hug. He just bowed his head and let me kiss his bald spot. But that was one of those power moments where I said, if that's all he'll give me, I'll take it. And later that night, he died. So it was the gift of the power of the moment to be with him. We wildly underestimate the power of the tiniest personal touch. We don't need words. We don't need technology. We just have to be in the moment. Because when people understand that you are a safe place, then they want to be with you, and you don't have to worry about anything else except zooming in on being the best you. Molto piacere, grazie.